Alright guys, as you can tell, I am pissed. But instead of just ranting into the void, I decided to put that creative energy into a video. So, let's talk about something we're all pissed about. Commiefornia. I saw this video and thought, you know what? Nothing sets me off more than just seeing one of my favorite states go straight down the hellhole. All because of these liberal commie idiots. When I was a kid, I was legitimately jealous of everybody that lived in California. Because there was a time where I lived in the Midwest. I hated the place that I lived in. I hated the snow every year. And I hated the fact that there was just nothing to do there. Because all there was just cornfields. And I was just surrounded by corn. And all the people that wanted to make something of themselves, they were leaving left and right. And those that stayed were the usual type, the trashy types that wanted to just get high, do drugs, drink, get pregnant, and start a family out of wedlock and leech off the welfare check. So I thought, you know what, if I could just get back to California somewhere or Seattle, then I could just build up my career and then everything will be fantastic again and never have to deal with the stupid city again. But now I wouldn't recommend anyone move to either of those places for the reasons you're about to see here. Because I know it's about California, but Seattle is suffering the same thing. Just not nearly as bad. It's just getting worse. You'll see. California, yeah. California, the blue side of California.
There are staggering new statistics on homelessness.
60,000 people are now homeless in LA County.
And everyone just got what they voted for.
Tents now line streets all over Los Angeles.
Block after block, tent after tent.
Alright, so just to illustrate exactly how fast this is moving here with the homeless population. I first came to Commiefornia in 2013, Bay Area. 5 years later, tents everywhere. When I first got there, I didn't see tents everywhere. Maybe a few here and there, but it was pretty rare. But yeah, it's getting bad that fast. Let's move on.
The city says they legally can't do anything about removing the homeless.
Yeah, more like won't. Liars.
It's honestly like Armageddon. It's post-apocalyptic, it's lawless, it's chaos.
No, it might as well be a third world country, though. I mean, it might as well be the apocalypse.
Any and everywhere you go, in and out of stores, homeless, homeless, homeless.
Homelessness is rising in California in part because housing costs and rents have skyrocketed.
Experts say the high cost of living is a major factor.
There's a shortage of affordable housing.
Housing inventory.
Housing, smokes and crack.
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing. Affordable housing.
Foreign Chinese investors, anybody?
This isn't a housing problem. That's a hoax. It's a mental health crisis and addiction crisis. Full on.
They're drug addicts and they can't live that kind of lifestyle in a shelter.
Were you going to use that needle? Yes.
The street life is like, it's addicting.
Start doing heroin again.
You're living out here by choice.
Oh, 100%.
So are you happy with this lifestyle for now, or would you rather get off the streets?
I'm content with it right now.
I didn't like living sober, doing the right thing, because people don't appreciate it. It's easier to survive this way than it is, I guess, to actually look for a job and do everything else.
Welfare sponges? Who'd have thought it? Nuke the welfare state, and what do? They get a job, just like the rest of us. But is it really that simple? Yes, it is. Don't believe me? Then look at the working class people that are not on drugs. What do? They go to a place where they can afford to live if they cannot afford to live in Commiefornia anymore. Most of them are homeless because they're not down on their luck, but because they want an easier life. Take it from someone who used to be homeless. I've seen it. I've seen everything. Yeah, talking about affordable housing, right. What they need to do is have a foot up their ass.
So it is Prop 47, Prop 57, so people came out of the prisons, and people that had mental illness that shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, frankly, ended up on the streets.
Get the fuck out of here, motherfucker!
Then, because we made drugs legal, essentially, in California, the drug users are here now because they don't get hassled. And if you're a drug addict, then you know it's warm. And by the way, you could steal $950 a day and not even get hit for a misdemeanor.
What you gonna do, beat my ass? You're not gonna sue for that, right?
We are the homeless welfare sponges. Yeah! What do we want? Free drugs! When do we want them? Now! At whose expense do we want them? Yours! I know. Let's vote for the Democrats. Yeah, they'll give us free drugs.
Crimes committed by homeless people are way up.
He told us crime has been on the rise as homelessness has increased in the neighborhood.
I worry when I walk outside. I'm always on guard, making sure that I'm okay.
And the Democratic politicians don't care. They're the ones that vote for them. That's why they've been importing them from below the border.
How safe do you feel?
Not safe at all.
Did you ever see I Am Legend?
Yes.
Okay. Remember when all the crazy zombie people are running at once?
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
You know another reason why people don't feel safe in Commiefornia? Because they can't own a gun. Well, but, you know, guns are bad. You know, they kill people and stuff. Or, you know, whatever the Democrat politicians like to say. You know, because we got to do something about the guns. We can't just, you know, do nothing. We got to feel good that we did something, you know. Well, the criminals, they still have their guns. And the law-abiding citizens, well, they're just completely disarmed. They're basically just walking around with a sign on their back saying, "Rob me, rob me, rob me."
A shirtless maniac armed with rocks.
A homeless person bit off part of his finger.
Pushes the man into the street.
A nasty attack inside a Westside McDonald's.
A stabbing on Hollywood Boulevard.
Goes on a rampage with an axe.
A woman beaten to death with a scooter.
Just last week, they found just a torso in a shopping cart, burned.
The suspect murdered and set the victim on fire.
It's unsafe. I don't want to go to the grocery store and worry about my life.
New rules on plastic straws officially go into effect today.
Okay, for starters, banning plastic straws is retarded. It does not solve anything. I mean, you can actually recycle those plastic straws, unlike the paper ones. But you know what? Speaking of plastic and paper straws, I actually have a plastic and paper straw. It's still in the wrapper right here, okay? All right, so this is the plastic straw. It's biodegradable. I mean, it's certified compostable too. So it doesn't harm the environment. You just have to dispose of it properly, and everything is good. And also, when you drink through the plastic straw, it doesn't get soggy like the paper one does, like this one here. It also does not get flimsy. The chemicals in the paper straw, it doesn't make the drink taste terrible. I can actually drink milkshakes with the plastic one, but not the paper one, because it just doesn't hold up. It's weak and it's flimsy. It's terrible. I hate the idea of paper straws, man. It's so retarded. Out of here with this garbage.
People are defecating and urinating all over the streets.
Their excrement and they're bleeding and they're urinating in the street every day. That is getting washed directly into the LA River, into the ocean every day.
This is like a petri dish for disease.
He knows. He contracted staph. It cost him his leg. Tuberculosis exploding. We will see Yersinia, which you may know as plague. And an army of rats, millions strong, has overthrown Los Angeles.
So typhoid fever means, oh, now we have oral fecal contamination, so that's going to mean parasites and cholera. Here we go.
Bubonic plague. Bubonic plague.
These kinds of fires, often started accidentally by the homeless, are erupting with growing frequency across the city. 2,500 of them last year.
That car's gonna blow!
We have done everything we possibly can to enable this population to stay there without seeking help on their own.
Permanently forcing people to go from one place to the next while they're trying to get out of homelessness doesn't solve the problem.
This is the dirty little secret. Most of them don't want the help and don't want the housing. And this because of the brain condition.
The homeless industrial complex is at work.
The record spending to resolve it all. Construction has become so expensive, $500,000 per room, the city is running out of money. Yet the crisis is still growing.
This housing thing is a disaster.
Not a single unit has opened in the 3 years since voters approved the bond measure.
Not one?
He has been, not one. No.
They're supposed to build 10,000 and after 3 years, not one?
That is correct.
Voters are angry.
I voted for Eric Garcetti, and I feel betrayed personally.
You guys are spending too much fucking taxpayer money!
The money's been stolen. Stolen and wasted.
Ear rape alert. Then stop voting for them!
How many people must die before you change the rhetoric?
We're at the breaking point. The mayor insists his plans are working. They just need more time.
This is the worst government imaginable.
I disagree. I completely disagree. I'll just say I completely disagree.
There's nobody here that gives a fuck.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why only net taxpayers and active military personnel should have voting rights. I don't care if you're offended or not. Now remember, due to the economy it once had, California was once considered the Golden State, but now that has pretty much been destroyed, along with its quality of life, which ranks number 50, the quality of air, which ranks 45, and even the school systems. Are you familiar with the Repairs Not iPads campaign? Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of that, but just get a load of this, and this, as well as this. Taxes are ridiculous. Laws are becoming more and more invasive, and you have businesses fleeing Commiefornia because they cannot take the legislation anymore. But, like I said, you get what you vote for. So, this is what happens when you eat the rich, vote for socialists, and try to spend everybody's money that isn't yours. A state literally rich enough to become its own country has fallen straight down the drain in a matter of a few short years. This is your brain on socialism. Oh, and one more thing. Just because you don't live in Commiefornia doesn't mean it's not going to come to you eventually. Because if you live in the U.S. and if you live in a fairly prosperous neighborhood, or city, or town, or whatever, the Commiefornians are going to migrate there and they're going to implement the same policies that caused them to leave Commiefornia in the first place. Don't believe me? You'll see it soon enough. Happened to Portland, happened to Seattle, it's happening to Texas, around San Antonio and so on, Las Vegas. Nobody is safe because California, it's like an infected T cell. When the AIDS virus infects it, it multiplies inside, and when the cell is weakening and dying, it just bursts, and the virus just spreads on to nearby cells until the patient is dead.